and welcome back to Podophiles, the premier source of information on pedophiles from 20 years ago. And yes, astute viewers and listeners may realize that I just called it Podophiles. We're sticking with the name.
Yeah, fuck you haters.
After 6 months of deliberation, we have decided not to make any changes and continue on with the show as God intended, how we originally envisioned it.
Podophile pride.
With my epic witty title remaining firmly in place. Today, I'm joined again by my co-host Kaya. We're here to talk about the third Predator that showed up on the series To Catch a Predator, hosted by Chris Hansen and NBC Dateline. This episode was before it was known as that. It was back when it was called, what was it, like Dark Web or something?
I think so.
It had a different name. Yeah, this was the very first episode. We've been going in chronological order for those of you out there who may not have noticed. So the previous two Predators were Predators number 1 and 2 on the show as well. The very first to show up.
Okay, yeah. I forgot about that. It's been so long.
Yeah, I know. I'm rusty as well. I forgot what the entire point of this show was and how it was set up. We're back, and we've brought with us an extraordinarily interesting, that's to put it lightly, interesting Predator who showed up on the show by the name of DarkHero73, also known as his real life name, Matt Dooley. Now, what do you know about Matt Dooley / DarkHero73, Kai? Do you have any kind of impression of him before we go into it?
Yeah, I remember that this was one of those very early episodes where they had blurred his face. I never saw his face until you just showed me the what was it, Perverted Justice? Yeah, their mugshot of him. Not a mugshot, just a regular photo where he poses for some reason menacingly, like a creep.
Yeah.
In dim lighting. But yeah, I was actually surprised because whenever that guy's clips came up in highlight reels, I was always wondering, like, why is he the only one who ever got his face censored?
Exactly. He's the only one.
Is he?
I think he's the only one. You could be correct, but my current understanding is that he is the only Predator that has ever been censored. And we'll get into it later, but broadly speaking, the reason was that he is very clearly a mentally ill individual. He was in and out of mental institutions, and there was an ethical discussion at NBC about how they should portray people with suicidal risks on the show. Do they cut them out entirely? Do they censor them? Or like,
I can tell you the answer. 4K, 60 frames per second minimum.
Yeah.
Who cares? It's a pedophile.
I think we both agree on that point that it's more... Chris Hansen agrees as well, by the way, that their names should be made public because it's a public health risk, essentially, to let these
well, it is
Predators...
a public health risk. Also, spoiler alert, like, I don't know how many episodes of this fucking thing we're gonna do and when we're gonna get cancelled for calling ourselves pedophiles, but I can tell you who it will end on, and that's I think district attorney that shot himself and got the show cancelled. That dickhead. And I don't know if you remember this, but around the time, like, his family actually showed up to council meetings to blame the TV show for, like, her brother's suicide. This dude who was chatting up a 13-year-old on the internet. It was so silly.
It's incredible the length that the mind will go to, like, preserve, I don't know, like, innocence, I suppose, in people that you love. Like, you want to believe that they're not actually the person that law enforcement or the media are claiming they are. I assume. I've never gone through it myself, but I assume that's the case. So I don't necessarily blame the family because I think that
I get that
family ties are very, very strong, and it's a tricky situation.
Yeah,
in my eyes, they're just as much a victim as the actual children in those kinds of cases.
Yeah, I don't blame, like, a mom for feeling a mother's love unconditional for her son or whatever, but you didn't have to fucking cancel the show over this dickhead. So roll him in a mass grave and keep filming.
Yeah, I think... I can't remember the specific reason why the show was cancelled in regards to the district attorney that you just mentioned, but I'm sure we'll get there eventually, maybe in about 60 years once we work through the pedophiles that have showed up with our time framing. 2 episodes a year currently. But yeah, okay, so we're starting with DarkHero73 today. Matt Dooley. Just some immediate facts to get out there. This was part of the Beth Page investigation in New York. He's 30 years old at the time of offense, I suppose. So he'd probably be about 50 something now. The age of the decoy that he targeted was 13. And another fun fact is that he scored a sliminess rating of 4.43, which I would say...
I forgot about the sliminess.
Yeah,
That is very
these are very...
accurate. What the fuck is this? Like IMDb? 4.43?
The sliminess rating, for those that don't know, come from the Perverted Justice website, where users would rate these chat logs. So it's a group aggregated score. 4.43, I would say, after having read his chat log and seeing the individual, that's quite low. I would put this pretty damn high in terms of the sliminess out of all of them. It is quite graphic.
Yeah, I just took a glance. It's
very
pretty
unstable. Bad. Yeah, it is pretty bad. And so, yeah, 4.43 is what the community has determined Matt Dooley to be sitting at. So to begin with, I believe that we'll go through this in chronological order, Kai. I think that's what we did the last few episodes. So we'll go through the chat log first before he showed up to the sting operation set up by NBC. So I've kind of grabbed a few excerpts, if you will, from the chat log that we'll go over and maybe do a line-by-line read to kind of get a feel for what Matt Dooley is like. Do you want to start with the introductions?
Sure. Oh, did you want me to read all of them, or what? Are we doing back and forth?
I suppose it doesn't really matter, does it? As long as we convey the information. You could be Dark Hero if you want, if you're auditioning for the role.
Okay. I forget how he sounds. I'll just do a normal. Hi, how are you this evening?
Good, you?
I'm great, thanks. I'm Matt, 30, from Queens. Are you really 13? This guy right out the gates doxes himself.
Yep.
What a fucking idiot.
Yeah. I'm Matt, 30, from Queens. And then immediately, confirms that he knows that she's 13.
All in one line. That's like the money shot for law enforcement. That's so easy.
That's all you need. Then Big Apple Baby Beth, which is the user that he's currently talking to, the sting operator. She says yes, smiley face.
Yeah, I bet she actually smiled in real life too when he was that dumb.
Yeah.
He says, so I guess I'm too old for you.
And then she says, why would you say that?
Because I am double your age and then some, lol.
So what, lol? Don't matter.
You like older men?
I like men, not boys.
Well, I am certainly a man.
So there we go. This is how Dark Hero views himself. And that was the introduction, except so he, as Kai has just said, he immediately incriminates himself within the first two messages and gives his entire name, location, and age. Just the perfect opening, really.
And knowledge of her age.
Yeah, and then immediately, no kind of dancing around, it shows, starts the flirtatious messaging, I would say, with talking about how she likes older men and confirming that she likes older men. And he confirms that he's double her age and then some. And then finishes it off by confirming that he is in fact a man, which is great. He's very confident of himself.
Is this how 13-year-olds talk? Is this what pedos think they talk like? It always amuses me when they fall for this shit.
Yeah, we always go back to that, and I think the boner that these pedophiles must feel kind of clouds their judgment per se, and they don't think about it as much as they probably should.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I wonder if they're gonna get tricked by ChatGPT. I wonder if law enforcement could automate these things now. Just setting up a bunch of decoy bots.
That would be fantastic. That would be a fantastic good use of AI, like an actual helpful use of AI. But then we might see AI busting other AI for inappropriate acts, since we've seen that that AI currently kind of takes the information put out on the internet. So they might start being pedophiles.
Yeah, being a pedo. Or AI generating child porn. Oh god.
Yeah.
And a pedo bot.
Absolutely. It's terrifying. A terrifying image.
Exterminate and molest. Anyway.
Alrighty. This is kind of already showing what kind of person Matt Dooley is. He's someone that's a bit confident of himself, more confident than he should be. And this is further illustrated in the next excerpt, which I've titled Mama's Smart Little Boy. So baby Beth starts off by saying, "What do you do?"
I work for a construction company right now.
Doing what?
Paperwork. Office assistant.
Cool. You must be smart.
I am very smart. My mother tells me all the time, lol.
Okay, so we'll stop there. That's already immediately a red flag just in any relationship. If you're talking about how your mother compliments you, that's gonna send a lot of girls running, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if it's a joke. He could actually be believing this.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think he said it in a confident way, not a joking way. Like he's actually trying to impress this 13-year-old kid with the credentials that his mum has offered him.
Yeah, well, then the other person kind of mocks him for it, the decoy,
Yeah.
if you want to read
She
it.
goes on to say, "And my mum tells me I'm pretty, so it must be true, lol."
Yes, you are pretty. Believe me, it's true.
Okay, so he went the creepiest route possible to the kind of slight joking that the decoy went on, kind of like subtly insulting him as well.
Yeah, I know. The person couldn't help themselves.
Yeah.
Oh god, these next two are actually gross.
Oh yeah.
This one annoyed me to read.
It immediately gets bad. So we kind of started off on like I would say a sliminess rating of 4.43, and then it divulges into sliminess rating like 5 million basically. So the next one I've titled Propositions, and you are starting because you're DarkHero73 in this situation.
Yeah, Dark Hero says, if you and me had a relationship, Beth, we would have to keep it real low profile.
And then baby Beth goes on to say, "Of course I do a lot Mum don't know about."
I wouldn't want your mom to know about it. Maybe you could sneak out of the house and meet me tonight.
So
that is so vile.
It is so disgusting.
Murderer texts. Ugh.
So it's immediately starting like the whole isolation tactic, like, hey, keep this on the down low, don't tell your loved ones about this at all, because obviously he knows it's wrong.
Oh yeah. Your mom wouldn't understand. You're so mature for your age. You're so misunderstood. Your parents are just so close-minded, blah, blah, blah. People would judge me.
Immediate manipulation.
Sneak out and meet me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is so fucking creepy. Jesus Christ. See, but this is what we grew up with in the 2000s. So when I said on the show that I just assumed everyone I was chatting with wanted a piece of my ass, this is what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
You were inoculated against this sort of shit.
100%. And if you're a kid listening to this episode of Podophiles for some reason, first of all, probably don't. Maybe don't. But also, if an adult or a person over the age of 18 or anyone really tries to like isolate you against your parents in that way, they're not a good person. They don't have your best interests in heart. Obviously, that's not in all situations. Obviously, your parents could be bad people, but more often than not, they're not. So maybe just think about it more deeply. All right, so then this is again another step up in the creepiness aspect. It goes on to Dark Hero goes on to start talking about his prospective career in amateur photography, if you will.
I would love to take some pictures of you sometime.
Oh, what kind of pics?
Pics of you in nice clothes. Maybe some of you in some swimwear.
It's a little chilly for that tomorrow, lol.
Lol. We could find some place to go if that's what you want to do.
Like where?
Like a hotel room or my place. Is this guy really gonna roll up in a fucking hotel, like say one room, make it a bigger bed for me and this little piece of ass that I brought? She's 12, don't mind.
I mean, it must happen to some degree, because I've seen a lot of chat logs where they do pull that move, like, hey, come to a motel or a hotel. Maybe there's the impression. Maybe you can like book online and they leave out a key or something. Or maybe there's like.
Oh yeah, you're right. Well, I mean, back in the day, I guess they just don't. They wouldn't care, or I mean, whatever. Fucking Weinstein did this 20 million times.
Maybe there's some 16-year-old kid like behind the desk, and he just assumes that, you know, it's a parent and daughter kind of situation. Who knows? Either way, he goes straight to the dirty and dingy and starts talking about wanting to take photographs of this little girl in her hotel room.
Yeah, meet me alone at my place. Don't tell anyone you're here.
As if it wasn't bad enough already with the prospect of meeting up and stuff, but it immediately goes into creating, you know, child exploitation material, which is just, you know, another step up in my opinion.
Well, they always bring their fucking cameras. They always, back in those days, they had the disposable cameras, especially. Every other fucking pedophile that got caught on the show had one of those.
Isn't
And rope, sometimes.
yeah.
For no reason, haha. I just always have rope in my car, and a gun, and a knife, and duct tape. I always love those guys.
It's horrifying shit. Really is. So it goes on. He again progresses.
What are you going to wear? Or are you going to let me decide?
I might have some ideas. You might need to wait 1 or 2 times while I change, lol.
That's not a problem. Change as many times as you want.
And then Baby Beth gives like a open mouth smiley emoji.
Tongue out.
Yeah, kind of like a goofy emoji.
He says, "Are you going to pose nude for me, sweetheart?"
Yeah, so it's progressing pretty quickly. This is in the span of maybe, I don't know, like 100 messages, if I recall correctly, maybe less actually. So I would say it's progressing at a fast pace, and he's getting right to the meat of this stuff pretty quickly.
Yeah, and the Dominator. Ew, what is this title?
Yeah.
He says, "Are you submissive, Beth?"
What do you mean?
I mean, do you like to be controlled by a man?
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of someone thinking I'm hot and telling me what to do.
Well, I think you are hot, sweetie.
Ugh, it's so gross. You cute too, smiley face.
As far as telling you what to do, I could think of no greater fantasy right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Are you a virgin?
There's the question. It's always going to be that question.
It's always, yeah. I'm talking to a fucking literal child. Hey, have you done bukkake and anal yet? Like, no, idiots.
It's like, are you a virgin? Do you have pubes? Are you alone right now? It's always these questions.
Do you have pubes?
Yeah.
They're so fucking dumb. Anyway, she continues.
That same emoji with the tongue out. Not anymore.
Okay, that's good. So would you like it if I told you what to do, Beth?
Yeah, that sounds like it would be totally hot.
I can detect some sarcasm here in the decoy's text.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in other words, I would be your master. And he wrote that in capital M.
Yeah.
Master.
A sign of respect, I assume. I guess I would have to do whatever you say.
I want to be your master, capital M, so badly.
Yeah, so there we go. He's already exerting his control fantasies on this 13-year-old girl and trying to put them into a submissive position.
That's not even, how is this even a fucking, like, you're not even breaking any, this isn't subvertive. Like, a child is already the submissive in any adult-child relationship. It is a literal child.
Yeah.
Like, I am your master. Yeah, no shit, you're the adult in the room.
Well, I mean, I think master in this sense has a completely, different connotation.
I know, it just, like, usually in BDSM, if you're calling someone master, it's because you're, like, relinquishing your control to them, and it's kind of kinky because they get to be the, I don't know, the person who just is your master, but with a child, that's, I don't know, it's just weird to think of.
Well, I think the kink, the thing fueling Dark Hero here is he wants to ruin the innocence of this child, I assume, and really do whatever he wants. That's what's is interesting.
No, he can't get a bitch his own age. This is always the problem with these dudes. So they settle for like these super inexperienced little girls who, have no confidence to just make fun of them the way an adult woman would.
Oh yeah, definitely. But also, I do think that even if he could get a chick his own age, and he has, we'll go into this further. But even if he could, there would still be that fantasy of doing this to these children. And we see that in a lot of other predators as well later on. Like, there are married predators more often than not.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, I was just imagining, like, what if the roles were reversed and he wanted her to be, like, the dominatrix and getting whipped by a child?
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting that we never see those situations prop up, huh?
Yeah, like, tie me to the bed on piss on me to, like, a 12-year-old.
Well, there is, I have seen a few chat logs of stuff like that. But yeah, it does seem like there's not as many individuals, predators, that want to relinquish control. I think that's what the offense is all about, really, is like taking control of someone that they shouldn't.
I don't know. People try to explain rape that way. it's not about sex, it's about power or whatever. And I feel like oftentimes it's just overcomplicating things. These guys are just so fucking horny and they like kids.
Yeah, maybe.
Um,
So the next
Alright, next
excerpt
one.
is what I found to be a pretty interesting one. It kind of harkens back to the original introduction excerpt because he goes out of his way to try to incriminate himself as much as possible and ruin any kind of defense. So I've titled this one, Can't Use the Fantasy Excuse Anymore. So take it away.
All right, he says, "Okay, I have fantasies, Beth. I want you to help me make them into realities."
So I'll explain this a bit further. So a lot of the excuses that these predators like to come up with on the show is that it's all fantasy. And there's been no offense. I didn't intend for anything to actually happen. It's just a
Yeah,
fantasy.
we're just gonna
online.
come and talk.
Yeah. Dark Hero,
Yeah.
on the other hand,
We were just playing.
Dark Hero, on the other hand, basically puts it all out on the table and says, "Hey, I have fantasies. Please make them real for me." So, that would be a great thing that the police could use, I think, if he would ever to bring that up. Big Apple baby Beth continues on to say, "Okay, I can do that."
And he says, "Have you ever addressed a man as sir before?"
Just a couple of teachers.
Okay, well, here's one of my fantasies. When you talk to me, I want sir to be the first and last word out of your mouth. Can you do that for me, baby? Ugh.
So fucking gross. So it continues. The next, we're still early in the conversation at this point. And the decoy does do a fucking phenomenal job of saying "sir" at the very start and end of every sentence that comes on after this. Obviously, to keep the predator, invested in the.
Yeah, I like how he said we're still early in the conversation, but he's already like knee deep in his fantasies to molest this girl, and, like lining up this whole game plan to meet her.
Yep, it's all he sees.
Dommy mommy.
It's all he sees. All right, but she does slip up now and again, and I wanted to illustrate this with the next excerpt by showing what happens when the illusion is broken. So Dark Hero goes on to start.
Good, you are going to learn how to make me happy, Beth. Tell me why you love it. He was touching himself while he wrote
100%.
that. Like,
oh yeah, 100%. Beth goes on to say, "Sir, because I like to make you happy, sir." Like, this is the fucking military right now.
Yeah, what the fuck? Sir, yes, sir. You'll make me very happy if sir is the first and last word out of your mouth on the phone. Will it be Beth, sweetie?
And then Beth goes on to say, "Sir, is he off the phone yet, sir?" Because I should clarify, the reason Dark Hero hasn't been able to call yet is because his roommate is using the phone. So that's what that's about.
What a loser.
Yeah, fucking pathetic.
Not yet, damn it.
"Sir, I'm sorry, I want to talk to you." But then she made the crucial mistake of not finishing the sentence with the "sir." And then she realizes her mistake and says, "Sir, oops, lol." And then Dark Hero says,
I hate it when you do that.
She, by the way, I read the chat log and she hadn't done it at all before that point. So this was the first time that she screwed up. And then she said, "Sir, I'm sorry, sir."
Don't do it again.
"Sir, okay, sir. Sir, sorry to make you angry, sir."
You didn't make me angry, you just disappointed me a little.
Oh no. "Sir, sorry, sir."
It's okay, just don't do it on the phone.
So yeah,
He'll lose his boner.
yeah, it's already broken the illusion to him, I guess, or something, or what? Or he's trying to do like a try-hard domination thing with a 13-year-old child, which is even.
This is really try hard.
Yeah,
this
it's
is so
super try hard.
This wouldn't even be sexy with like an adult.
No.
What the fuck am I reading? Stop calling me sir.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fucking wild. This is like a virgin's idea of what a S&M kind of relationship is.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
The conversation continues. We've got a couple more excerpts to go, but the conversation continues, and Dark Hero is lamenting the fact that he's not able to get on the phone and talk to his new 13-year-old girlfriend.
I can't wait for two things right now. My roommate to get off the phone, and for me to take pictures of you tomorrow.
And then Beth continues, "Sir, just pics, sir?" It's so fucking goofy. She's still going with the sirs, by the way. She has to.
Yeah, I know. It's so fucking, that one hit me out of line. Yeah, why? Did you have anything else in mind?
Sir, whatever you want, sir.
What if I wanted sex?
Sir, I do what you say, sir.
Really? You will be my little fucktoy, Beth?
So fucking bad. Oh my god. Sir, if you want, sir.
We should have read this on the main show. This is awesome. I do want that, but I could get in trouble, you know.
Sir, I'm sorry, sir.
So I guess for now we'll just stick to pictures, okay?
Sure.
Bro, you
It's
can
all
get in
legal.
trouble for that too, dummy.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
legal.
that's not any better.
So he's affirmed that he knows that he'll get into trouble. What I don't understand is just having this conversation is illegal. It's not just taking the pictures. It's not just the the sex or anything like that. It is the act of coercing a child to meet up with you in real life. What he's done has already crossed the line. You know.
Yeah, the intention I think is already a crime. That's why the decoy doesn't even have to be real, according to those laws.
Exactly.
At least in some states. I don't know. Anyway, he continues to say, "I'd like to make you my property for real."
Sir, I'd like that, sir.
You'd like to be my property?
Sir, yes, sir. She actually did the sir, yes, sir.
Would you do everything I said?
Sir, anything you said, sir.
Why? Why would you give me such a wonderful gift?
He's waxing poetic now. I'm imagining him on his hands and knees, like crying about how lucky and fortunate he is.
Yeah, this doesn't sound dominant at all.
Yeah, it sounds pitiful.
Giving me a wonderful gift? What the fuck? Anyway.
I'm such a lucky man.
Your turn.
Beth goes on to say, Sir, because I want to make you happy, sir.
Why do you want to make me happy? Why not someone else? His insecurities are setting in. He's like, what the fuck?
Has he already come?
Why me? I don't deserve you. Yeah, maybe it's like post-nut clarity.
Yeah. And then she goes on to say, Sir, because you're cute, sir. Sir, because you think I'm pretty, sir.
Okay, those are good reasons. I think you're extremely pretty, sweetheart.
Alright, that's good. She made a convincing argument as to why she wants to make him happy.
Yeah, that was easy.
That's something I was thinking about earlier in this conversation. It's always interesting to see these conversations and how easy it is to lure these predators in and keep them invested. Like, just look at the words per message in comparison to each of them. Like, Beth is using very short sentences, doesn't particularly seem very interested, whereas DarkHero is basically writing paragraphs. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they're basically not interacting back. It's just
Yeah, I know. It's not even a lot of effort. Plus, the funniest thing I found is just how the decoys always like mistype in the way that they think a child would type.
Yeah.
But it's not any way that like any of us ever typed as children. It just completely, it's a boomer's idea of how teens talk, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's cutesy, I guess. It's funny that they don't pick up on that. Okay, next one. Wardrobe decisions.
The final excerpt. So this is towards the end, before the phone call was made and before they discuss meeting up. They meet up very quickly afterwards, and the conversation is quite small. Like it goes pretty quickly. So wardrobe decisions. This is this excerpt.
So how many bikinis do you have?
Sir, just one, sir. Sir, but it might be tight because it's last year's, sir.
Again, tight is spelled like T-I-T-E.
Clearly spelled wrong.
That's okay. It might be even better if the bikini looks a little small and can't hold you in. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying is just such a weird sentence to write in this situation. But Big Apple Baby Beth replies saying, "Sir, yes, sir."
And he goes, "How big is your chest, Beth?"
Beth says,
"There's something about I've noticed that incels like refer to tits as chest.
Yeah,
every time. I don't know what it is with them that they're like
almost analytical.
Yeah,
because they're educated. They're smart people." Big Apple Baby Beth says, "Sir, I'm a big B, but getting bigger, sir."
You look pretty big.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Maybe I'll get to suck on those tits tomorrow.
Immediately gets rid of the chest.
What happened to I might get in trouble?
Yeah. True.
Oh, speaking of chest, I just remembered, I don't know if you remember, but I have this like personal lolcow called Harden, who's also like an incel and woman hater. So one time he was in a video call with us and we're just kind of, making fun of him, but he can't really tell. And I would keep asking him stuff and talk to him and notice that he was completely zoned out. And I'd go, Harden, Harden? And he'd go, sorry, I was looking at Mariah's chest. Just completely proudly announce that he zoned out because he was looking at the girls.
Oh my god, that's so gross.
Oh man, that was pretty fucking funny.
All right, so then afterwards, they make the phone call, and the chat, what do you call it? The chat transcripts has the note here about the phone call. It says someone placed the call, someone on their team placed the call. The voice actress, if you will, slips up once or twice with the sirs on purpose just to rile him up a little and see if he'll get hostile. He does, berating her for forgetting her place, in quotation marks. She quickly terminates the call after trying hard not to laugh at his Fran Drescher-esque accent.
Do you have the call?
I don't have the call. They didn't record the call. It's a shame.
Oh,
yeah.
Such a tease.
Yeah, they did. I couldn't see the call recording anywhere. I don't know if they released those, weirdly enough. So after that, he leaves. He's made plans to meet up with the girl, the 13-year-old girl, let me remind you, at her place while her mum's away. And that's when the sting happens. That's when his entire fantasy is ruined. So we'll start now with clip number 1 of him showing up on the show.
This 30-year-old man, screen name Dark Hero, showed up expecting a date with a 13-year-old girl. It turns out he has a history of mental illness with possible suicidal tendencies. So we've disguised his identity but included him in our report to illustrate how there's no telling what kind of unstable character might show up for a meeting with a minor.
Just sit down at the counter. I want to finish getting dressed, okay?
Sit down where?
At the counter?
Okay, where the light is?
Yeah.
Okay.
But instead of meeting his fantasy girl, I walk in.
You thought it was a good idea to come visit a 13-year-old girl for what reason?
Just to hang out. Just a lonely guy, you know? I don't mean anybody any harm.
Have you ever done this before?
No.
So he's just a lonely guy, all right? He's already so pathetic, by the way, in comparison to his macho, domination-esque attitude in the chat scripts. He's just...
I mean, what's he supposed to do? Be like, it's, sir, have you done this before, sir?
Berates Chris for not calling him sir. No, it's just the first sentence out of his mouth is literally, I'm a lonely guy. I'm so sad.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on anything except taking photos.
Yeah, it's just harmless stuff, Chris. Come on. Harmless. I don't mean any harm. So, yeah, again, his face is censored in the show. That's a first for the show. We'll have Chris Hansen's explanation on that later on in this episode. But let's move on to clip number 2.
But when 30-year-old Dark Hero learns he was going to be part of our report, he tries a different approach. Remember, we've disguised him because of his history of mental illness and possible suicidal tendencies.
I'm ashamed. I'm sorry. I didn't mean anybody any harm.
Then he reveals something that, after investigation, appears to be true.
I'm a schizophrenic man. I'm supposed to see my doctor today.
All right, perhaps you should go see him.
I'm just getting my life in order. You're going to ruin my life.
You're the one who made the decision to come here.
But I didn't know I was going to wind up on television.
What would you have done with a 13-year-old girl?
I probably just would have said hello and how you doing, and maybe we would have taken a ride in the car, and that's it.
You were going to take her for a ride in the car?
Maybe.
I love Chris's incredulous exclamation about the car. Why does it matter where he takes her if he's going to have sex with a photographer? What's the car thing? Why is that so traumatic for Chris?
Yeah, also, he went very quickly from, I was planning on doing nothing, I was just going to say hi, to, yeah, I might put her in my car and drive off with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just fucking Amber Alert this bitch.
So
oh my...
It's hi, how you doing, how are you in the car? That's the chain of events for him, apparently.
Yeah, also, just it's infuriating how indignant he is about the whole thing. What, you're gonna ruin my whole life because of this? I was just getting it in order, and now you're gonna put me on TV? Fuck you.
Just getting it in order. He blew off a schizophrenic mental health appointment to come hook up with a 13-year-old girl. That's not getting your life in order, bud.
Yeah, that's a good point. He really fell off the wagon there.
It was an off day, all right? It was a cheat day.
It's like calorie counting, but child counting.
Alrighty, so here's clip number 3. Dark Hero gives some thoughts on Chris Hansen's show, basically, the To Catch a Predator show.
I just got out of a mental institution a few months ago. I'm just a guy looking for a girlfriend. That's it. You're gonna take a guy who's looking for a girlfriend and put him on TV and say, "Oh, here's a pedophile." That's what you're gonna do, right? because I came to meet a 13-year-old, even though I didn't do anything. I think that's ridiculous. I think your story is a piece of shit.
So there's that indignancy again. I love how that entire clip, Chris Hansen doesn't even have to say anything. He's just like looking at him with like a confused expression on his face. Like he's just going, "Well, you're just going to call me a pedophile just because I want to come here and have sex with a 13-year-old girl, huh? Checkmate."
I know, it's like, oh, you want to expose me? You want to show me on TV? You want to show people that I came here for a 13-year-old and you're going to ruin my life? And all the while, I'm just imagining like that sideways chat face meme that just says yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
And I think your story's a piece of shit. Yeah. Like all that shit beforehand was somehow evidence that the show is not doing a good job.
That's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
He said, I think your story is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, I mean, you are the story.
And
I'm
you
just
came
looking
here,
for a girlfriend.
and you literally just
Yeah,
said,
like
"I'm sad, I'm lonely, I'm looking for a girlfriend that happens to be 13 years old currently." And you're gonna say I'm
Yeah.
a pedophile. So fucking goofy. Alrighty.
Damn, I wish I did that fucking voice while reading these chat logs.
Oh yeah, his voice
Should have
is
watched the clips first.
his voice is both grating and hilarious at the same time. It's kind of like exactly what I
know,
imagined.
it's so funny.
It's not the worst voice on the show, by the way. There are some predators with just the most amazing
Oh,
voices
I
ever.
remember one that had like a Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, that's the
goofy
one I was
voice.
thinking as well. Yeah, the Mickey Mouse predator. We'll get to him eventually down the line. So this next clip, final clip from the show, because these were very short segments back in the day. They didn't interview them quite a lot of detail in the Beth Page investigation. So he's going to talk about his previous history of abuse and mental illness here.
It turns out Dark Hero has a long history of mental illness, and he has a history with law enforcement. In fact, his former girlfriend was granted an order of protection against him, an order which he violated. He later pleaded guilty to second-degree harassment and criminal contempt. Yet here he is, able to chat online, make a date, and show up for a possible sexual encounter with a 13-year-old.
So it's a good point there. This is a guy, I would say a dangerous guy. He's legally in trouble for previous harassment and abuse towards his former partner, girlfriend. So he's a dangerous guy, and somehow he's in a mental institution, in and out of them previously, and somehow he's still able to strike up a conversation online, unmonitored. That's just how easy it was back then.
Yeah, it also seems to think that's some sort of an excuse, like I'm schizophrenic.
Yeah.
Well, okay, if anything, that means you should not be let off the hook at all. If anything, that means we need to get you off the streets even faster. Like, we can't be having schizo pedos running around
Yeah, that's a dangerous
the fucking
combination.
neighborhood. Yeah, and just a creepy way in the clip he walks towards Chris Hansen, like,
Yeah.
domineeringly, almost like he's about to punch him in the face, but then
Completely
he backs off
unhinged.
and walks out of the home.
Yeah, he's definitely probably one of the most unhinged predators that's ever appeared on the show. Maybe not the most unhinged, but definitely one of the most
God,
unhinged.
I swear, the things like the money I would pay for an unredacted clip or video recording of him just talking to Chris Hansen for an hour,
Oh,
and just explaining himself in that stupid voice. That would be
man,
so
you
funny.
are in luck. This next segment that we're going to go into is a special one because there was a TCAP, To Catch a Predator community member, who hosted a 30-minute long interview with this figure, this DarkHero73, and I've recorded
You
some
gotta
of the
send me a link
choice.
to that later.
I've got some of the choice clips right here that we can go into right now to see what his rationalization of the events were and how he perceives it and how he perceives himself to be attacked and unjustly, accused of a crime that he didn't commit. Straight up, before we play any of these, they are very clearly the unhinged ramblings of a schizophrenic individual. This is the kind of stuff that you would hear like on a bus as some homeless person is rambling in the corner, you know, that kind of thing. 100% it is.
Beautiful.
So we're going to start with this. First clip, I believe, is giving an explanation, a kind of introduction to the interview itself.
So we're here with Matt. Matt was caught up in the dangerous web sting, and it was kind of unfair because Matt was targeted by Dateline and other forces, and he has some things he wants to get off his chest.
Thank you, Joey.
You're welcome.
And I would agree with you 100% that I was indeed targeted by the program NBC Dateline. And I don't know specifically the cause. However, I do know that it was, of course, in New York City 3 years after September the 11th, 2001. And the president at that time, George W. Bush, was running or preparing to run for re-election.
So immediately,
This is
immediately to the
this I didn't know.
conspiracies.
This is a conspiracy that reaches the upper echelons
Yeah.
of power.
Yeah.
I didn't know the Illuminati was out to get him.
No, George W. Bush saw all this and he wanted Matt Dooley behind bars because his entire re-election campaign hinged on Matt Dooley being behind bars.
You know, when the Jewish lizard people who did 9/11, of course, pulled George Bush into their smoke-filled chamber, they told him, Matt has got to go. He's the only thing standing in our way to world domination.
Exactly. All right, so this next clip is an explanation of why he was targeted, because immediately we have questions, right? Like, why would the government target you, Matt? Why does George Bush want you behind bars? And boy, does he have some answers for you. I still can't make sense of them, so I'm hoping you might be able to.
I also believe that what is known in New York City as Kendra's Law was a factor, because the story of Kendra Webdale, who unfortunately was pushed in front of a oncoming subway in New York City by an individual by the name of Andrew Goldstein, was featured on Dateline many times. And myself and many of those around me who were also incarcerated at the Creedmoor Psychiatric Center were, affected by this law, where our specific cases had nothing to do with this individual. However, because the assisted outpatient treatment law was created due to the actions of Mr. Goldstein, we were persecuted by that law. And I believe that Lynn Keller, the executive producer of Dateline, located me within Creedmoor, within that program. I believe I was targeted. And for the reasons I just mentioned, the political climate in New York City in early 2004, in addition to my knowledge of what really happened on September 11th, 2001 in Lower Manhattan.
I like the interviewer going,
Yeah, just trying to coax it out of him, obviously. So immediately goes into, I can't remember the law's name off the top of my head that he just talked about, but it was something that came apart. Kendra's Law. Yeah, from a girl who was pushed in front of a train. I straight up believe, I thought he was going to start talking about how maybe George Bush was behind the fucking wheel of the train or something, and that's what information he had. I don't know how that law pertains to him being persecuted in the mental institutions or how that leads into 9/11, but it's all connected. I'm seeing the red tape already. I'm seeing the red strings on the chalkboard.
Yeah, was it like a secret order by the president to, decoy, go and pretend to be 13? That's how we're gonna get him.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you were targeted, you kind of deserve it for that one.
Again, yeah, absolutely, 100%. He straight up, it doesn't matter if they intended him to be caught. He put himself in a position where he was flirting with a 13-year-old. Again, he says it in the...
don't fucking do it. It's that easy. I'm a fucking...
initial message.
I'll tell you what, I'm a 9/11 conspiracist too, but this is not how you would ever get me.
All right, so we've discussed the motives or the explanations of why he was targeted by maybe the U.S. government or maybe the producer at NBC.
The
But
Illuminati.
or the Illuminati or whatever. But what was Chris Hansen's motive? Well, Matt Dooley has some insight into that, so we're going to play that now.
In the summer of 1994, I had opened an account with the online brokerage E-Trade. I was one of the first customers of E-Trade, which is now a household name, I believe. And at the time, there was only one other online broker in existence. So I think what Mr. Hansen did with his program to catch a predator was utilize it in a way to deter people from looking at the stock market, NASDAQ level 2, the New York Stock Exchange.
I don't know how he makes these connections.
That is amazing. Now we're like on a, you know how governments and like the media will sometimes actually give you a distraction so you don't focus on like, you know, chemical trains derailing in Ohio or whatever. He thinks this is what happened to him. Like he was used as the fall guy, so to I guess misdirect people away from NASDAQ for some fucking reason.
Yeah, so for some reason, Chris Hansen went after him because he was an online trader. He was circumventing the NASDAQ. I assume that's what he meant.
Yeah, was he affecting like Fortune 500 companies? What the fuck effect would his trading have on NASDAQ?
Well, he was one of the first, you see. He was one of 2 online brokers, I think. He just said.
Oh, is that how that works?
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Apparently he invented the technology.
The earlier you are, the more your money is worth.
Yeah, I don't know. It is actually insane
Bitcoin, that's
rambling.
true.
It is insane rambling, and Matt won't have any of it. He's not a fan of how he was persecuted, so let's hear from him.
Do you think maybe that's his like trick? He's acting like an insane retard on purpose to like show people, hey, I'm insane. You can't blame me for what I've done.
I mean, it's a possibility, but no, it genuinely seems like he is 100% certifiably
Yeah, I also want it to be
schizophrenic.
true because that's funnier.
I mean, he straight up has been through the mental health systems. This would be a long play just for that, I think. So yeah, let's listen to what he has to say about how he was persecuted.
They have their political beliefs and their convictions in those people's minds. So if somebody comes along with different ideas that don't agree with their ideas, their political ideologies, it's not that you think what you do, it's that you don't think what they think. So that's what they target. It's very similar to totalitarian countries such as Nazi Germany.
So we've hit this is just like
Oh my
Nazi
God.
Germany.
Jesus, this is like the prototype to the like cancel culture blather. Like they're trying to shut me down because I speak the truth and only I speak the truth. Okay, whatever.
Is what he just said boiling down to they wanted to arrest me because they didn't agree with me fucking a child? I was such a free thinker. Because
my ideas are just too dangerous and radical. I mean, yeah, I guess.
They didn't think the same way I did. They didn't like the 13-year-old girls the same way I did. So they're basically like Nazi
I mean,
Germany.
also the fact that you showed up to actually do it. There's also that, not just your ideas, but sure, go off.
Okay, we're going to play a few more clips from this interview. This one is specifically about Chris Hansen.
I think Chris Hansen is full of you-know-what. And he's taken this and run with it as long as he can. And honestly, I was taking a second look at that Murphy, Texas episode just the other night. I think Chris Hansen has bounced more than just checks to pay for mugs and T-shirts and whatever he got arrested for in Connecticut. He bounced chat transcripts on the general public with that program. And the man is a fraud.
All right, so he's treating it like it's a fucking wrestling match introduction, like he's trying to start drama with Chris Hansen there. He's talking about Chris Hansen's admittedly kind of shady past few years, because this interview happened 15 years after the show aired, by the way. I forgot to mention that, but it did. 15 years after.
Oh.
So, yeah, Chris Hansen not in the best position currently, so he's throwing shade at him for that and saying he's not the most trustworthy of individuals. But then he ties that into saying that the chat logs were, I guess, fabricated and pushed onto the US population by Chris Hansen.
So, I see. He was framed. He was framed for his role with Better Trader, whatever fucking website he named. And Kendra's Law. I bet that bitch Kendra was in on it too. She jumped in front of that train just to get him.
Yeah. All right. So we've talked about how he's being pursued like it's Nazi Germany. I guess there's only one other kind of, what would you call it? Gimmick? No. What's it like when they all use the same excuse? Like a cliche almost? I guess like a cliche.
Yeah, stereotype cliche.
Yeah, what's the next cliche that he can use as a defense? Let's listen to this next clip to find out.
I believe that you are innocent until proven guilty. Many people in this country who have been crucified by the electronic press are stunned that this country doesn't seem to work that way. And if it does, when you're accused of such things, even if you're found innocent, you live with those stains and that dirt on you for the rest of your life.
I mean, you committed the crime. It's in video evidence. You saw it, and you admitted to the messages. This isn't like an innocent until you won't even deny that you sent the messages.
Yeah, he didn't even deny it. He literally showed up there and he confessed to all of it. Why didn't he do this, the chat logs are fake routine when he was talking to Chris Hansen?
Yeah.
Why didn't he say those printed pages are bullshit?
He said he's lonely, he's just looking for a girlfriend, she's 13, let's go for a ride, basically. That's all he said on the show. So, interestingly, I found this next clip very interesting because he moved on to talk about how he's not being incarcerated or charged, so that basically means he's innocent in his mind. And also, he hasn't faced any repercussions over the last 15 years. The show hasn't really affected him, and I found this really interesting, so let's give this a listen.
So I would say to Dateline that they're really not fooling anybody, because I have walked in my shoes for 15 years since that incident, and I have never really had any type of trouble in terms of being identified as a sexual predator, as a pedophile. Any person who's ever approached me, with questions, or was that you on that show? They honestly wanted to know, how did they do it? How does Dateline do that? I see something is wrong with the picture, but I can't figure it out.
What does he mean?
I gave them autographs.
Yeah, what does he mean? Like it was some kind of magic trick that NBC pulled, like Chris Hansen's a world-class magician? It's just a fucking censorship bar over his face. That's the only video editing that was there. What's he talking about?
How did they get you to say that you want to take nude photos of a child? How did they pull that one off? Huh?
Yeah, like I can't imagine anyone who knows of who he is, or like, his role on the show, if you will, actually went up to him and said, how did they pull that off? It just seems like such an out of left field thing to happen, especially if it's pretty much confirmed yet again that he's a pedophile. He wasn't like, defending himself.
I also don't believe that he like gets recognized in public. Does he go around bragging about this, telling people without prompts? Like, by the way, that shit where they caught me being a pedophile, that was fake. That was fake, everyone. That just like blurts it out at a party.
So apparently, I'm not 100% sure on this. I tried to do a little bit of research into it, but I couldn't find specifically how he was identified because, as we've discussed, he was censored on the original airing of the show. And Chris Hansen has explained after that fact that the only way he was identified was because he himself identified himself as the person on the show. He came out saying that he was that person. So
there's also the perverted justice site, I guess, which should come up during any like half decent background check if he's applying for any normal jobs. But I don't know.
Yeah, we've only got a few clips left, and we're running short on time, so we're gonna breeze through these. This next clip is about how he's not making any excuses. So, of course he's not. He hasn't just spent the last 20 minutes talking about how it was all an inside 9/11 job.
9/11.
By George W. Bush. No excuses. He's laying it all on the table. Let's have a listen.
I'm not going to make excuses for my behavior. I can tell you I was under a great deal of duress, trying to get back to work, trying to satisfy whatever requirements I had at the Creedmoor State Psychiatric Hospital, which were demanding, also intentionally inflicting distress onto me.
So immediately makes excuses after saying I'm not going to make any excuses, basically. Fantastic. That's always a...
Well, also, I'm not going to make excuses. It's the thing you say when you are apologizing for something that you have done. So what, is this an admission? What the fuck is going on?
He has admitted, again, he has admitted that I didn't clip this, but in the episode, the interview, he did state that, yeah, he made some of those messages, of course, but not all of them. Like, a couple of them were, like the fuck toy one he specified wasn't actually him. But the rest, yeah, potentially. So again, I don't believe that. I think they were all his, clearly, obviously.
Yeah, only the part where I ask about her boobs.
Yeah.
Not... I told her to say sir.
Yeah, that was all me, yeah.
I wouldn't ask her to have sex with me. I'm not a freak.
This next clip is titled More Conspiracies, so we're about to listen to some more rambling, I assume.
Let me also say that there are lines in the transcript that are not mine. When I was returned to Creedmoor, which I was, which Perverted Justice reported on their website, my lawyer came into the room and I asked her, why am I being kept? And she said, because you asked the girl to be your F toy. And I said to my lawyer, no, I didn't. I never said that. And she kind of threw her hands up, and, you know, I think she said, you know, I don't know if she said, yes, you did, but she kind of, you know, threw her hands up, like I said, like she was kind of powerless too. And let me say, I grew up in Fresh Meadows, Queens, New York, which was owned and developed by the Helmsley Spear Corporation. Harry Helmsley also owned the Empire State Building. We never were allowed to have pets.
I don't know what the fuck that meant at the end, or how it tied into him not having said those messages, but I wanted to include it because it's another one of those conspiracy theories that just showed up.
This sounds like an early chat bot now, just randomly generating tokens. What the fuck?
Yeah, it was wild.
I also like him being mad at his attorney. Like, yes, that's how they treat almost all of their clients, because all of their clients are usually shitbags who just deny the crime they did.
Yeah, he's powerless because you're still pretending that you didn't do the crime, or you didn't say certain messages.
Why did you rape this person? No, I did not. It's like, well, it's your attorney. You're supposed to be honest with her, idiot.
Yeah. All right, this final clip is, I'm going to be honest, I don't remember what this clip is, so we're just going to play it.
There's other lines in there that I did say, and it's comical to me that upon my first admission at Creedmoor, in the state of mind that I was in, that a social worker by the name of Rosemary Warshaw had told me that I had just joined the Marines.
Okay, yeah, so I don't know what that meant. It's like he's having 6 different conversations at the same time, which I suppose is further, evidence that he is actually a schizophrenic man. I have no doubt. That he's actually extremely mentally ill. Again,
sounds like it.
I don't know if we've talked about this yet in the show, but that's no excuse to obviously be a pedophile, and I 100% think that he absolutely should have been identified to the public in the broadcast. I think it's a downright shame. Maybe it should be a crime, honestly, that he was like censored. He was a public risk, very clearly. He went to meet a 13-year-old girl. He's unstable. Obviously, whatever he's going through in the health field, all of his appointments and stuff, they're not working. Something needs to change because he's going to meet up with 13-year-old girls and photograph them. It's not working.
Yeah, I mean, I concur. It's not an excuse. If anything, it's more of a reason to keep you on some sort of a sex offender registry and lock you up.
Yeah, keep an eye.
Sorry, I get distracted because I'm looking at some of these pedophile screen names on the side, and one of them is SpongeBob Giant Dick, and another one is Ass Finder.
Classic Ass Finder. Sounds like an app. All right.
SpongeBob Giant Dick.
The last clip I pulled This is an explanation from Chris Hansen on why they censored it. I thought this might be particularly interesting, whatever, just to hear from him as to why they chose to censor her.
But as we started to work towards actually putting this on the air and coming to terms with what we had, there was a big ethical discussion about Matt Dooley and do we use his identity at the time. And he was making noises to his lawyer and to his family and to anybody who would listen that he might harm himself because this was going to ruin his life. My argument was that he should be identified, and ultimately he was. He identified himself, really, and I'll get to that in a minute. People needed to know who he was, why he was dangerous. And again, remember, there wasn't law enforcement involved here, so he never faced charges in this case. The debate went on for weeks and months, and ultimately, in that very first episode, we just used his screen name, Dark Hero, and we blurred his face, and the story aired.
Okay, so that basically sums it up, right? There were ethical concerns about him potentially committing suicide, which is a strange thing because that was never afforded to any of the other predators on the show. I'm sure most of them felt suicidal after having been caught, right? But it was just this Matt Dooley that was given that privilege of being censored.
Yeah, that's a good point. So if you were like any of the other pedophiles, you gotta be feeling pretty envious and mad about this. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you mean I could have just I could have just pretended to have been suicidal, or not even pretended. Like, I think most people in that case would have been suicidal. So yeah, that's an interesting excerpt from Chris Hansen, and it seems like he 100% agrees with us. So the it must have come from up top at NBC or something. Maybe George W. Bush felt bad for how it went with Matt Dooley and wanted to offer a.
They wanted to suppress the information.
Yeah, maybe he felt bad and wanted to fix it up for him. But who knows? All right, so that's going to end this episode of digging into the life of DarkHero73. As Chris Hansen said, he never faced charges. He's still out there apparently doing YouTube interviews with people in the TCAP community. So that's interesting. There will be links in this show description on where to find stuff like the chat log, as well as a photo of him, as well as the interview itself, which was done by a guy named Joey TCAP. Yeah, other than that, do you have any final thoughts on Mr. DarkHero73?
Sir, no, sir.
Good answer. That was great.
Excellent legwork today. Very, very cool episode. I didn't expect us to go this long.
Yeah, there was a lot here. One of the most prolific predators on the show, I would say, definitely, because he's the only one that was censored, obviously. But yeah, I definitely think that he was like one of the worst. I think he was one of the most dangerous and one of the most just. It was disturbing at how he didn't see anything wrong with what he did. You know, he was very argumentative about it.
And
He's
funny.
very cocksure. Yeah, and very funny. Yeah. All right, so that's going to do it for this week's episode of Podophiles. We'll see you again in 6 months' time. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Let us know your thoughts below. All right, thanks, guys.
Stay podophiling.
Nice.
Podophiles out.